family mode.
All right, everyone. If you can hear me, please raise your hand using the raise your hand icon on the Go to Webinar Control Panel. Awesome. Very good. Thank you. I see hands going up. All right. Welcome to a day in the life of a buyer. My name is Lori McNeely, and joining me is Nandu. And Rajan will also be answering our questions today. We have an FAQ that we normally go over. If you're new, if this is your first webinar, raise your hand. Oh, I see a few hands going up. Some newcomers here. All right. In case you couldn't find it, here's where you can find that raise your hand icon. If you have a question, please type that question here. And we will be recording this webinar. In fact, we're recording it right now. We'll have that available on our help site for viewing in the future. Our next one's going to be October 22nd at noon Central Time. And of course, we are doing these in Ultriva version 7.7 or higher. And with that, we are ready to jump right into the demo portion of the webinar.
Typically, when the buyers log into the screen, this is their main home page. In this home page, it has been segmented with some small individual pockets. The first and foremost thing on the left-hand side, what you see is an inventory health. This inventory health is based on the on-hand inventory in your facility as a buyer. So if your on-hand inventory goes below a certain percentage, the color will change. As you consume the material or as you receive the material, this color will change based on the inventory, on-hand inventory in your facility. So this is set in the RYG rule, which is called red, yellow, green rule. This red, yellow, green rule can be set at the item level or at the group of parts, that product line or family of parts level, or at the plant level or work center level. So based on that level, it will automatically reflect it in here. For an example, in this particular case, we have 12 parts are in red in color, and none of them are in yellow in color, and 6 of them are in green in color. So when you click the number 12, for an example, red item analysis, this is the one thing we recommend the buyer to look at it on a daily basis and make sure what is the root cause for the parts which are going into red. There are only two conditions a part can go into red. One, the plant is consuming faster than what they were anticipated, or the supplier didn't ship the parts on time. So we will have reports showing that. Before that, I would like to explain this buyer material status report, what it is and how it is designed. So if you really see on the first column in the on the left hand side, red, yellow, green, RYG, so that will indicate where the part is at this point in time. So the item number, units on hand at this point in time, usage per day set in the item level for this particular part number, and then daily usage. This is computed on the fly as you consume the material. In the last 15 days, how much on an average you are consuming on that particular part. The next one is the usage per day computed for the last 90 days, and materials on hand. How much material you are having it on, how many days of materials you are having it on hand. And the next delivery date, when you can expect the next delivery, what quantity you are expecting it from the vendor. And it will also show you the projected stock out. If a part is, Ultriva sees that there is a potential stock out, that will also be shown in this particular screen. Plus, if the parts are, if any parts are going into past due, that also you can see, and how many cards are in the past due. Plus, we are showing the on-hand trend. This is an hourline graphical chart. When you click onto that, what this will show you is in the last 90 days, how many times the part has gone below the safety stock level you set it up. That orange line shows that safety stock level. How many times the part has gone below the safety stock level. So either it can be due to several reasons. So you can see that how many times it has gone through, so that you can go and analyze the part. So as I said before, a part can go into red only on two conditions. One is based on the inventory level. So it means that you are consuming more than what we thought, as well as the supplier things. So when you click on reports, and then there is a report called red item analysis. When you click onto that red item analysis, when you see the parts are going into red frequently, you can click onto that red item analysis and you can see the two conditions. So the first one is the supplier late delivery. When you select that and click show report, you can do it by supplier, or you can click show report. It will show you all the parts which are gone into red based on the supplier late delivery. So this particular part has gone into red because of the supplier late delivery. So the best way to analyze this is if the part is going into red frequently because of the supplier late delivery, you can go and analyze it from the cycle time report, which we will be covering it later. The same way, if you can go back, Lori. If the same way, if the part has gone into red based on the increasing in demand, so that will show you the parts which are gone into red because of your consumption rate has gone up. In these conditions, what we recommend is you can go into auto resizing tool and figure it out what is your historical consumption, and then you can size your Kanban based on the historical consumption or based on your future demand. You can use the resizing tool so that the parts are not getting into red frequently, so that you are not getting into stock out or about to stock out situation. Can you go back to home screen?
All right, next up we have the alerts. And alerts are items that we have rules in Ultriva so that an alert can be sent to a buyer based on exceptions, or anyone based on exceptions that occur in Ultriva, like a supplier missed a shipment, a card gets rescheduled, a card gets or an order gets released to a supplier. So there are a lot of exceptions that can happen where you can set up alerts. These alerts can be either sent to the browser or to email or both. And we have done 2 past webinars on setting up alerts and how the rules and alerts work. So feel free to view that later, and we will go over how to find those in case you are not aware of that. But as you can see, we do have some alerts here on the screen. You can click them individually to get the details. After you view them, you can click on the X to get rid of them. As you can see, we're only viewing the first 4 of 9 alerts. We could, view the next page. One nice feature that we have here, we can click here and we can dismiss all of them at one time, or we can click Manage and we can click and see the information here on the side for each of these. And then we can, once we're done, we can dismiss or dismiss all of them. I will not do that at this time. We'll just go back. Next up on the dashboard, we have a very nice order tracking section. It is great because you get a nice view of exactly what's going on in the system. The first box we have is the orders waiting approval. If we hover our mouse over that, we can see these 5 cards separated into various boxes. We have 3 cards that are waiting for inspection approval. And we have 2 where we are waiting for reschedule approval. And if these are clickable, and so like if we were to select the reschedule approval, it'll take us directly where a supplier has suggested a reschedule, and we can either approve or reject that. So maybe we want to approve that. We would just click approve here. And this has been rescheduled, and the supplier may need to accept that reschedule request. All right. Next, we have the orders not yet acknowledged screen. So this, of course, is clickable, so we can click to see what has not been acknowledged yet. It tells us our supplier name, how many we've ordered, when we released it, when they should have accepted it. We also have their ship date and when we need to receive the goods. So one nice thing about this and many other screens in Ultriva, there is a print and an export button. So the export would export whatever you see here on the screen into Excel so that you can further filter it or share it with someone else in case you need help or in case someone else is interested in this information. All right. And if the supplier hasn't acknowledged things, you might need to prod them a little bit and make sure that they accept the orders to make sure that you get your parts on time. Next up, we have the orders past due for shipping. Again, if we hover our mouse over it, we get a little bit of a breakdown of, we have 11 of these 16 the supplier hasn't even accepted yet. And then we also have 5 additional ones that they have accepted, but they haven't shipped. And we can click that, very similar to the other one. The ones that were accepted, we know that because we have the accepted date filled in. And then the ones that haven't been, we might need to contact these suppliers to find out why they haven't shipped these yet. You can see we have a few of them here that are kind of late by a few days here. All right, we'll go back, and then the next column is orders past due for receipt. So we'll go ahead and we see 6 of these. 3 of them the supplier hasn't shipped yet, but there are an additional 3 that the supplier has shipped, but we haven't received them. So if we go ahead and look at this, the ones that have a ship date are the ones that where the supplier has shipped. And so what you might end up having to do, so maybe you click this orders not yet received, and you see the supplier ship something in August, and you haven't received it yet. You might need to check to see if there was a missed scan or what else for at receipt, or maybe the supplier marked shipped in Ultriva, but actually failed to get that particular box on the truck to be delivered to you. So that's the orders not yet received.
So the next segment in the screen is my routines. So these my routines are defined based on the roles. For an example, typically this is the my routine for a buyer. So they can release an order. For some reason the barcode is not printed correctly. They have to release the particular card. So what they can do is they can come into the system and click on the release orders and release that particular card to the supplier. The same way that they can also create a spike order. So the spike orders are typically a one-time order which you get it from your customer. You don't want to disturb your Kanbans. This is a special order. You want to create a specific card release for a particular part number. So you can use the spike order. At the same time, you can also use this to place an order for a forecast item. So as you get the orders from your customer, you can place an order to your vendors. So in the category, you have 2 things. Either it can be a forecast item or a Kanban item, and you can pick the supplier. In this particular screen, what you can do is instead of going through one part at a time, you have an opportunity to select multiple parts and then create one order for all the part numbers. Once you create a spike order and release place it in the screen, if your ERP system and Ultriva are tied up with integration, what it will do is it will send the data back to the vendors, back to your ERP system, and wait for the purchase order getting created in the ERP system. We'll get that data back and publish it to the suppliers. So anytime you create a blanket, spike orders, if you leave the purchase order number fields empty, so the system will automatically send the data back to ERP, get the PO and publish it to the suppliers. So when you go back to the home screen, the other neat feature the buyers typically use it on a day-to-day basis is viewing the receipt due. When you click on the view receipt due, this is a thing which will show you for that particular week, for current week, every day how much you are expecting on every individual parts, how much inventory you are expecting it from your vendors. So either you can click onto the particular item number or particular quantity, or if you can scroll down and find the total number of units like 29, so you can see all the orders when you can expect it from your vendor. So this screen can also be viewed on a daily basis, or you can filter it, group it by weekly or by monthly. So if you are expecting the materials from your vendor, you can group it by weekly. So every week, how much quantity you are expecting it from your vendor. You can do the same thing for monthly. So the other neat feature is exporting of this data. So when you click on export, which you see it on the top right hand side, so it will export the data into an Excel file. So you can utilize it for a different purpose. You want to track that, you want to manage that on a daily basis. Whatever reason you want to do it, you can export that into an Excel file. At the same time, also you can also click on print. So what this will do is it will create a print view, so you can print it into your printer and use it for your other purpose. You can also schedule this report by clicking on the scheduled report. So what happens if you want to get this report sent to your email, you can schedule it for a daily basis or weekly basis or a monthly basis or a set time. The system will automatically send it as an attachment in an Excel and put it into your mailbox. You can also share this report to you and to your colleagues who are needed if they are in the system as a user. And apart from that, when you go back to the home screen, you can also do certain things on a monthly basis. So like you can analyze the supplier performance, you can analyze the cycle time, what is the actual lead time set in the system, what is actually happening on the floor, based on the supplier shipping matrix. So you can also analyze the inventory savings, how many times you stocked out on a particular part, as well as the Kanban inventory level, how it is happening. So these are all the monthly reports, and some of the buyers in a bigger organization, what they will do is every week they typically run for few suppliers this week, the other few suppliers for the next week, and so on. Every week they will split that load instead of doing everything at one time. They will typically schedule it and do that. It is up to the buyers to determine whether they want to do it on a whole thing, every month or every week, that they can work on that. So these are all the major thing what we recommend to the buyers to look into that on the My Routine. Then the next segment is the MRP planned orders. So when you click on to the top right icon, so it will tell you what are all the things inside this MRP planned orders. It has 3 segments in it. One is the planned orders, the other one is the gross requirement, and the third one is the netted gross requirement. So the difference between the planned orders and the gross requirement is the gross requirement is unnetted demand. For an example, based on your production schedule, when the explosion happens, how many pieces you need it for each and every part you are going to consume on a particular day. This is unnetted demand. When you click onto that, it will show you the unnetted demand. This is the one we publish it to the suppliers as the forecast, so that they can plan their raw materials and they can buy it for you once your consumption triggers your orders, or your MRP triggered planned orders, which will help them to make sure that the parts are available and we are not getting into the whiplash situation. So when you click onto, for an example, in the gross requirement, when you click onto that number 20, so this will show you in the past plus next 7 days how much we are going to consume on each and every part throughout this week. So you can, the same way how you looked at the residue report, you can also consolidate it by weekly, by daily, or by monthly. And if you want to look at what are all the orders available for next week, on the current, you can see a blue icon. If you click that, it will go to the next week and show you for the next week what are all the demands you have it. So the same way, what you can also do, for an example, if you click onto that number 5 on the bottom, it will show you for each and every part number how many pieces you need it, and who is the supplier, what is the balance quantity and suggested quantity and the order quantity. So all these informations you can see it. This is just a gross requirement, unnetted requirement. It is view only. There is no action taken against this particular report. So when you go back to the, you can filter it from here also on the forecast. Either you can see the gross requirement, or you can see the planned orders. The planned orders are basically netted demand from ERP, and when ERP makes the suggestions, we are getting those MRP suggestions and publish it to the buyers. In several cases, what happens is some of the ERP systems has the workbench for the buyers to work with. Some of the ERP systems, like old legacy systems, there is no workbench. So what they have to do is they are getting the printout of the whole planned order demand, and the buyers have to go through each and every one of the part numbers and try to reconcile and place an order. Instead, what we are trying to do in here is we are collecting those information and providing it to the buyers so that the buyers can use Ultriva as a workbench. See, for an example, on this particular case, there are 3 part numbers. We have demand for demand. It means the buyer has to place an order for these part numbers. So when you click onto the number 7, for an example, the total quantity for this week, these are all the orders the buyer has to place it with the supplier. So you can see that every one of the part numbers, when are they supposed to place an order, and then it will also show when you expect when is the due for those part numbers from your supplier to your facility. So you have the option to change the date, because if you are going to get two days the same part numbers back to back, you can consolidate it and make it as one order so that the supplier need not have to ship it twice. The same way, the quantity, if you want to increase the quantity or decrease the quantity, or if you find a difference in the price, you have the option to change the price in here. And if you are buying the parts from multiple suppliers, it will list both the suppliers. You can pick for which supplier you need to place an order. So this is like a workbench, MRP workbench, and it is easy to use for the buyers. You just select it and release that order to the supplier. Once you release that order to the supplier, as usual, if integration is set, we will send this particular data back to your ERP and get the purchase order number. It depends upon the purchase order. It can be a blanket or a release against a blanket or a standard PO. The system will create that purchase, or the connectors will create the purchase order and publish it to Ultriva. Ultriva will publish it to the supplier so that the supplier can use Ultriva as a portal. Instead of using Ultriva only for the Kanban parts, they have the option to use Ultriva for every one of the parts. Either it can be a forecast parts or Kanban parts. So what we are trying to achieve out of this is we are standardizing the process. So the supplier need not have to go to different systems to get their orders. They can use Ultriva as a supplier portal, get all the orders the same way they accept the material, accept the orders, and they can go back and ship the material in Ultriva, print the label, put it into the box material, and say ship it to you. Your receiving team does the receiving. It is going to be a standard process. Anything coming from the supplier, you scan the barcode, one barcode that will have all that information and publish it into your ERP system. Can you go back to the home screen? So the last last portion in this MRP is the new feature which we have added it, a netted demand. So what this will do is this will take your gross requirement and on-hand inventory and on-hand inventory plus the orders you are expecting to receive it on a particular day, and then it will try to net this and then show that show that as a view. Can you keep the cursor on the ones which are negative? So what this does it is, yeah. So for each and every parts, what is your on-hand quantity, and also it will tell you expected receipt for that particular day on that particular part. What is the new requirement coming out of a ERP for that particular part, and it will also net your on-hand quantity. So in this particular case, whatever you are seeing it as negative, so it means that there is a possibility that you are going to stock out. So you have to go back and look at those materials, those part numbers, and find out what is going on, so that we are not getting into the trouble of stocking out on these parts.
Right. Next up, we have our MRP recommendations, and these are orders that have already been placed in Ultriva that the ERP has sent for those existing orders, whether we need those items sooner, later, or perhaps we need to cancel that purchase order. And so that's what you can find here if you have the integration point set up. And if for this defer orders, the ERP has sent to Ultriva that for these two orders, we need to push those out. So instead of this item coming in on the 24th, maybe we need this on the 30th instead. And so we can accept that recommendation, or if we know we definitely aren't going to need the part on the 24th. The 30th, might be a little late, so maybe we want to, we do have the ability to change our date here to September 28th, and we can accept these particular defers.
So anytime you do the deferring or expediting, so it will go through our workflow. Typically, it will send an email alert to the supplier stating that the buyer has requested for a date change or the quantity change. Then what the supplier will do is they will accept those orders, or they can come back and say, I may not be able to fulfill your requirement on that particular day. Then the buyer has to negotiate with the suppliers and find out what is the best way to do it. So if they have to, if the supplier cannot make it, if you don't have any other way to get those materials, the buyers can go into planner's queue and then say that, okay, we are not going to get this, so you can move those parts from that date schedule to a different date schedule. So every time you do any reschedule, it is similar to our regular reschedule. It has to go through the workflow of getting the approval from the supplier or the buyers. It depends upon how you set your Ultriva system.
All right, and the expedite works exactly the same way as the defer works, so we won't quite go through that example. And the same for the cancel. The cancel would actually, once we do that, it would recall that card or recall that order. All right. Next up, we have the integration status. So raise your hand if you normally are in charge of clearing out the failures or looking at the integration. So raise your hand if you're one of the buyers who do that. All right, perfect. I see several hands going up. That's very good. That is something that's definitely a part of the daily buyer experience here. These PO create failures, it's extremely important that if you have any of those, that you do get those cleared out on a daily basis so that those orders get released to your supplier. If you click that number, which I just did, it takes us to the integration status report, where it shows this PO creation has failed. If there is the integration, if the ERP is sending the error messages that the ERP has sent, what you can do is you can click on the card ID, and if that error message is populated, you will see the reason why. In this case, it's the blanket has expired. It could be one of many things. Maybe the revision number has changed or something like that. So what you'll need to do is go into your ERP, get that blanket so that it's in the proper state, and then you can come back here to Ultriva, and we can click this change PO and retry. So with this, what we can do is we can put in, if the reason was, the PO number was incorrect or something, we can put in that PO number, just simply enter that here, put in our PO line number. We can scroll over to the right. If it's something with the location code not being correct or the item revision number not right, we can enter that information here as well. And then click this change blanket PO and retry. And that would send that integration back to the ERP for another go at it. And another option is this set PO and close. So this is something that might be new. Not everyone will have this yet. But what this one would be is if we were to check this set PO and close, we could put in the proper information, whether that's the proper PO number, the proper revision number. And this is once we know it's okay in the ERP, we don't need to communicate this information back because we know it's okay over there. We just need to get this settled correctly in Ultriva. We can enter our information here and then click this set PO and close. And that set PO and close, that's going to not send any more information. It's just going to consider this as processed with the information that we have just entered. All right, we'll go back to the home screen, and you would end up doing the same thing for the receipt. You can find out, click and find out maybe why the receipt has failed. This when the PO is not open, you can fix that in your ERP. Open that PO, or let's see, what's this one? The received quantity exceeds the open quantity. So you can take whatever action needs to be done, and click this very similar, the change PO and retry. You can put in your new PO information if necessary, or new location code. Whatever the reason is, select that and retry that. And this set, process, and close, it's the exact same thing as for that PO release integration. Next up, we have the pending column. So with the pending, we'll go ahead and click that. The pending can be in one of a few states. If the status column found here, if the status is waiting, if we notice none of these right now say waiting. If the status says waiting, that means pretty much the card has been released. However, no information has been sent to the ERP. It's waiting. Nothing has happened. This committed in eBusyAI state, that means the information is on its way to the ERP, and so it's part of the way there, and we're waiting for that response, whether that response is either processed or failed. And there's not a whole lot necessarily to do. You want these integrations to complete the way they should. So if it says waiting or committed, if it stays waiting for a long time, you might, I think many of you are aware, you may need to contact someone to see if there's an issue. And lastly, the success, these are the ones, we can click that. These are the ones that have been successful. The status says processed. It means everything went through as it should have. And you can see your PO line number, and if necessary, like a receipt number, depending on the information that your ERP is sending back. And what we were just looking at, these are what is shown here. These are this is the integration that originates in Ultriva, and that information gets sent to the ERP. There might be a few of you out there that do have some integration that originates in the ERP, and then Ultriva does something with that. And so if you click on integration, you can then go to batch job status, and you can see what has transpired for some of those integration points that originate in your ERP that get sent here. So maybe your ERP is sending the planned orders, the released orders to Ultriva, and Ultriva is creating those orders and sending those to the supplier. So if you have that integration point, you click Show Report after selecting your date range. As you can see here, we have 6 that completed successfully of these planned orders. However, we do have 2 that failed. If something fails, very similar, you need to find out exactly why, and then get that retried. So if we click that 2, it tells us what's been going on. It says, so we have our item number, we have our PO line number, and what this says, this item isn't found in the system. And so if this item isn't found in the system, we need to find out why. And once we have made sure that this item is in Ultriva, we can then come back here and retry that. But we might need to find out why. So if you have the item sync, we might need to look at the batch job status for the item sync to see what is going on with that. And let's say we look at our item sync, and we see that something has failed. And so if we click that failure, yes, here's our item number. It didn't get added to the system through item sync. So over here at our status message, it'll tell us why. So this given user code, the user code MKR, it's not associated to a buyer. So it can't add the item because it doesn't know who MKR is. So this user code or buyer code isn't found. So we need to fix that. Once we fix that, we can try this. We can come back here and retry this integration. So the first off, we need to find the users. So I'm going to show you a little trick here. So if we right-click Admin, we can choose Open in New Tab. So that's going to open this up over here for us, and we go to User and click User, and sure enough, nobody has this MKR buyer code. So we need to find out who that is. We edit them, and we say MKR, and we save that. Okay, we can pop back over here to our other tab, check mark, and retry this integration. So this item will be added, and then we go back and we do a retry on that MRP released order or that planned order after we know this has been added. All right, and we'll go back to our home screen here. One thing that we did want to point out, we have done several webinars in the past that are related to a lot of the stuff we were just discussing today, with the alerts, the planned orders, and the MRP recommendations and the gross requirements. And so if you would like to view some of those past webinars, if you're not aware of it, you can click the Help button here, and this opens up our Help portal. So we have several things on here. Raise your hand if you've been to our Help portal here. Oh, I don't see it. I see a couple of hands going up for folks who have been to our Help portal. Very good. So once you come here, we can see a lot of things. One thing that I will point out that we've added recently is the Ultriva eBots printer services. We have a new install tutorial for people who might be more visually oriented, with being able to learn more by watching someone else, we do have a new YouTube or install tutorial on how to install the printer services. So you can maybe point that out to folks in case they need that. But at the very bottom, we have our training webinars. And if I scroll down, we click training webinars. The most recent one's always going to be on the top. The last one we did was Collaborative Supply Portal Basic Setup. And as soon as I get this one up on the website, probably by end of day tomorrow, the one for A Day in the Life of a Buyer is going to be right up here at the top for you. And we'll file this one down below. But something to point out, we have a resizing Kanban loops webinar. We have the handling MRP parts in Ultriva session 1 and session 2. The rules and alerts. So learn how to create the some basic rules and alerts. And we also have, if you haven't seen it yet, the tips and tricks where we give a lot of useful information about how to navigate and maybe have an easier experience trying to navigate around in Ultriva. One of those tips was actually, like I just pointed out here, right-clicking and choose Open in New Tab. So, and then we have also done a material status, so a little more detailed on the material status report. So those are some of the past webinars that we've done that you might want to take some time and have a look at. All right, how are we doing on questions?
I think we have a lot of questions in here. The first question is, Lori, can you confirm that if this will be the current Ultriva version 7.7? Yes, it is 7.7 and higher. Some of the features we showed are in 7.8, but most of the features are available in 7.7. Very few are new in this screen. So the next question, one thing that Naveen might mention, that the filter, yes, believe the user can see the parts assigned to them unless otherwise the plant administrator role. Basically what happens is when you go into the home screen, yes, you click that, Lori, so that they can see that. So when you click onto that, you can see all items, or you can filter it only for my item so that the buyer can see it, filter it and see only those parts which they are managing it, not every parts in the system. Is the days of material based on last 15 days, or if 15 days of usage or 90 days of usage? Basically it is based on the last 15 days of usage. Because initially we had it differently, but we changed it to last 15 days. So that will show the on-hand inventory is, number of days of material you have it is based on the 15 days of material. Is there an auto resizing feature when Ultriva recognizes an increase in demand to Kanban? Yes, it is available in the auto resizing report. You can filter it to see only the parts which has the increasing in demand. Can you click that, Lori? Let's go to that and show them that. There is a separate webinar on auto resizing which explains that. Can you click the tools, auto resize? So in this auto resize, if you want to, you have 3 options. You can do it based on your historical demand, or you can resize it based on your certain percentage of your material increase or decrease, or you can do it based on your future demand. Can you stop it and rerun it?
There we go.
Yeah. So as I said, you can do it based on your historical, or increase in certain percentage of material, or decrease in certain percentage. Also, you can use MRP forecast based on the future. So the next one is you can also in the filter condition, I mean, sorry, resize recommendation, you can, when you are filtering it, no, the next one, loading down. Yeah, it can show all added cards, or no, go to the right. Yeah, the next tab. Yes. So you can see that if you have an increasing in demand, that is nothing but where you have to add that inventory, or you want to see the parts where you have the you need to reduce that inventory, you can filter it based on that and see, and you can resize the things. The new feature in 7.8, we added it to our auto resizing is the use average demand for calculation. Either you can use the average demand or the peak for that particular period. So when you are using the future demand, when we are getting the gross requirement from your ERP system, there were questions came up several times. We are when we are doing an average, if you get a one spike, there is a possibility that you may miss that. So instead of averaging it out, the requirement came stating that they want to use the peak. So you can determine which way you want to resize your Kanban based on that. That's a new feature we added it to the 7.8 version. Going to the next question, when the new dropship ability is there, is there a way to see the location or destination associated to the cart in the order tracking session? Yes, it is possible. This is currently, that feature is not in the current version. It will be added to the newer version. What we have it currently is you can have the ship to address and you can ask the supplier to ship it to that particular address. It is at the system level, so we can add that feature into the next release. That's what Rajan was mentioning it. The next one is the questions going. We go through the presentation at the end of the presentation. Yes, yeah. Since we have a tight. Normally, what we do is all these questions as and when we get it. If for every session we will stop and take the questions and then answer to that. Because this is a one full-fledged session, we cannot split it into each and every compartment and then answer to it. So that's why we kept it at the end. So now we are going through that. Is there a way? Sorry. Is there a way to release spike card or temporary card through a file upload? Yes. Yes, this can be done. It can be done only for the forecast item. For the Kanban items, to create temporary cards, it has to be through screen at this time. If you have a consolidation or supplier with a single container, could you run a receipt summary according to the consolidation? This can, I mean, if the data is available in Ultriva, you can use the custom report to create that. Maybe we may need to look into this question one more time at the later state. We will definitely look into this question, and then we will get back to you with an answer. On cycle time report, is actual lead time based on the original required ship date or required ship date at the time of shipment? It is based on the required ship date at the time of shipment. It is not based on the original required ship date, because when at the time when the supplier is shipping, what is accepted promise date, that based on that only the system calculates it. What are the current ERP systems that Ultriva is set to have an interface with to generate the MRP details? It is up. Most of the ERP systems, what happens is it depends upon your environment. If the connector is established and if the ERP system is publishing the data, we will get it and publish it to the suppliers. Typically, in some of the cases, if you are running a little bit older version, I think you may need to have the license for SBR to get the data and publish it to the suppliers.
I think that question was more of what ERP systems are we integrated with, or maybe it's kind of like can her ERP system send this MRP details to Ultriva?
So the answer is any ERP system. It doesn't matter. We can. If we are getting the data from ERP system, it doesn't matter whether it is Oracle or SAP or Syncom or BPEX or Mapix or with whatever system. If the data is published from the ERP system to Ultriva, Ultriva will process it and publish it to the vendors.
Right. So if the ERP can send a file in a specific format, if you have the IT resources to get that information in the specific format, Ultriva can process it.
That is correct. And also you might need the SBR license to do that. If the SBR license is not there, we may not be able to publish that. So the licensing is the key for that. Okay. Does Ultriva accept a location code or drop shipment? I think I answered it in the beginning. It is only at the item level at this time, so we can look into that for if we need to have it at the card level. Yes, we can look at that. Our system double receives the, this I answered it, because some of the ERP system, what happens is when the failure happens in the integration, it is set to fix it in the ERP systems like Syncom. They have their way to publish that failures, so they have to go back and fix it in the ERP system and tell Ultriva that it is taken care. So they don't have to retry it in Ultriva for the receipt failure. If you do it, it will try to send the data back to that again. So is set PO and close a new button? Yes, it is a new feature. We have added it in the newer version. It is in the 7.8. When you upgrade it to 7.8, you will be able to get that feature. Yeah, we don't see the MRP planned orders dashboard in buyer's home screen. That is purely because of the licensing. If you have that SBR license, you will be able to see that. How MRP forecast planned orders are added to currently used version. If you have, again, the same thing, if you have that SBR license, you can definitely get the data and publish it, and you can use Ultriva as the workbench. We have OEE live. MRP forecast does not have anything but gross requirement. Currently, this is, I think it is from train. Currently, you are using only Kanban. You are not using the full MRP forecast feature. So that license is not available on that. Is there a function to mass update coordinator by buyer given? Buyer on a given set of items? There is a separate webinar on the items where you have the option to change the coordinators as a bulk. So even Lori is showing you right now. If you go into items, admin items, you have the option to change coordinator. So you can change the coordinator in bulk. There is one more webinar session explaining this also. We will point to that.
Right, I believe that is in the user groups webinar here.
Webinar, yeah. So what is the release date for 7.8? We have not yet come up with the date. It is, we have started sending the beta version right now. We will definitely get back to you. Our predictions are October 15th, but I will have to get the exact date and say that. That's all the questions we have it at this time. If you have any other question, please send us. We will definitely happy to answer to every one of your questions. Lori.
All right. Thank you all very much for taking the time and spending part of your day with us. We hope to see you back again in October for our next webinar. I do have some contact information on the screen in case you need to contact us.